Hey, how's it going guys, Lord Helix here, and I've noticed that it's been a while since I made a video. Now, if it isn't obvious enough, I'm not really good at keeping my promises. I'm sorry about that. I promised a video 3 weeks ago, and I've now just gone around to do it, but I will say that I do have a lot of free time now, so I do have time to make videos. Anyway, a few people have asked me how I make my pixel art, so I decided to put this little video together. So if you didn't get picked for a free commission, then you can follow along with these little steps I have, and you can try to make your own. Speaking of the free commissions, this video I am actually doing one of them. I'm doing a guy called DJ Heavy Chan. So there you go, not only do you get the commission, but you also get to see the steps I did in making it. So before I even start discussing how I make my pixel art, I use Photoshop. But you don't need to use Photoshop. You can use any form of art software, like Paint. I used to use Paint when I first started. You can get Paint.net, GIMP, anything really that just sort of works with pixels. You can also, if you haven't already, get a free trial of Photoshop for 30 days. So if you really want to use Photoshop and you haven't used that trial up, you can get a free trial. So first of all, I get some reference pictures. To do this, I use the website whatsnext.loadout.tf. It's actually a really neat website if you're trying to decide what loadouts you want to run on your class. It allows you to pick whatever class you want, then equip that class with whatever cosmetics/weapons in whatever color on said class. I use this program to get a feel for how the cosmetic sits on the class. It's also really good because you can select specific taunt poses. So after I've selected all the misc and whatever pose the guy wanted the heavy to be in this case, holding the sandwich, I went ahead and took a few screenshots of it. So now that we have a few reference pictures, we can start on actually making the pixel art. Now the first step, which you don't really need to do, but I do myself, is draw up a basis of the proportions of the sprite. I'm mainly mapping out the torso and legs. Now like I said, you don't really need to do this step, but I myself do it to get a feel for the sprite. For each section of the sprite, I also like to make a new layer, as if I do make a mistake, I don't remove certain parts of it that I am happy with already. With most art, when you're drawing a person, you usually draw out a base skeleton. Doing this allows you to make sure the autonomy is correct before you actually start the full drawing, as well as make sure the person is correctly posed. So like I said before, I'm going to make a new layer for the skeleton. That way, when I want to make edits to the skeleton, I'm not removing anything on the previous layer. I usually do make a few adjustments after I make the skeleton, but having it there gives me something I can work off, and also makes the sprite look better in my opinion than just straight up drawing it out. So now we move on to getting the shape of the actual person. I usually start off with the torso, and go into the arms, then the legs. However, sometimes I'm mixed up depending on the pose of the sprite. For each new limb or detail of the body, I'll make a new layer in a different colour. You don't have to do this yourself and can just do each limb in whatever its actual colour is, but I prefer to do it this way as it's easier to recognise the colours. I usually leave the head and feet till I've done everything. You don't have to do it this way, but sometimes when you're doing torso details, you might make minor adjustments and say if the head is already made, that can stuff up your head proportions. But it's up to you how you want to do it. So now that we have each limb and major detail, we can go into colouring and shading the sprite. Now to get the right colours, what I do is find an image of that particular class, then save it and use its colours as reference for my own sprite. This just makes the sprite look better and closer to the in-game colours. Now when you are shading the sprite, you want to have a set position of where the light source would be coming from, and place the shadows on the sprite accordingly. So if the light source was directly above the sprite, the shadows would be positioned under the sprite, if that makes sense. I usually make the light source coming in from the front of the sprite, the shadows reflecting that positioning. Make sure you stay with one particular light source and don't change it for each limb or segment of the sprite, as it can make your work look sloppy. And don't use too many colours when adding shading as well. I usually only use 3 main colours for each part of the pixel art. A base bright colour, a darker version of that colour, then an even darker version of that colour. The final dark colour is used for outlining the pixel art. Using too many colours will crowd the sprite and make it look overly complicated. One of the main problems with pixel art is that you lose a lot of detail that would originally be in the image, so you really have to be careful and try to put only the details that really matter to the image, so that is recognisable. If you try and go too intense with the details, you can actually make the sprite look worse. After I've coloured my pixel art, I go on to the last step, making the head. The heads aren't usually that hard to make, but with this one I had a bit of trouble, as the heavy's hat had a lot of these feathers that were really hard to emulate. After about 20 minutes of twerking it around and trying to find a shape I like, I managed to get it as good looking as I think I could. I usually do a very simplified version of the Meg's heads as I can't fit that many details into my particular style. Now all that's left is to put it in place, add some feet, and there we have it, a finished pixel art. So, after about an hour and a half of work, I managed to finish one pixel art. This heavy is probably one of the hardest loadouts I've had to do, and at one stage, I had to completely redesign the whole pixel art as I thought the body wasn't as tall as I wanted it. Sometimes you just have to do that, and I think the final result was worth it. I hope this tutorial was somewhat helpful in your attempts at doing your own pixel art, and if it was and you did follow along with the steps and create your own, send the picture to me somehow, maybe through the Steam group, which I have, by the way. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like if you haven't already, and consider subscribing. That'd be very awesome. I hope you all had a good day, and I will see you on the next video. Hello and welcome to the End Slate, a little segment I do sometimes at the end of the videos to discuss after video things that I couldn't discuss in the videos because they wouldn't make sense in the video. Anyway, starting off, I'm going to say a few donations that were given to me. A fair few people have decided to donate me items, which I'm really surprised about. Don't feel like you have to donate me something. If you really want to, you can, but don't feel like you have to if you do. But anyway, I'd like to thank Cosmic for giving me a strange smoky sombrero and a strange El Patron. She looked level 18 for the Cardbeard Cutthroat, and I totally forgot to mention him last time, Mr. C, who gave me a strange Huntsman. I completely forgot. I feel really bad for not mentioning you last time. So yeah, sorry about the lack of videos on my part. This is also where I say my excuses. I've been a bit busy with school, but school's over now. I'm on holidays, 7 weeks of that. So I have a lot of time to work on videos, and I have a few that I'm working on, and future ideas that I'm going to be working on in the, in the future. I think that's all I really wanted to say. Nothing else that comes to mind. Steam group, you can join that if you haven't already. Super cool. Get, updates and stuff from me if you care. If you want to as well, you can add me. My Steam ID is in the description, always has been. So again, second time I'm saying it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.